Hello everybody. It's been a long time since I talked to you, especially since I uploaded anything on the channel. But I just wanted to get this off my chest about the new DPS changes that are coming up on PTS week 3 currently. And yeah, I just had this on my mind and I just want to get it out a bit. So welcome. Alright, so first of all we want to understand the reasoning for ZOS, and I totally understand and I get it, and I'm totally actually behind the changes. I think they're great. It's just their reasoning was to increase inclusivity and to decrease the gap between the top end and the low end players, and to make rotations more easy for people that can't do proper rotations. And I think I agree with all of that, really. But first we should understand why the gap is so high currently. That is obviously because of power creep. Now, power creep happens on 3 different ways. We have better players, like the skill gets higher. Then we get better sets and gear and everything. And then we also get like better organizations, like we have the skill based and the brain based improvements. Now, we haven't seen any improvements in the player base for a very long time. Wow, great. As you know, the skill in the game has been quite the same for years, really. If you look at how the combat works, it's always dot light attack dot light attack dot light attack dot light attack dot bar swap spammable and so on. You know it. Like, it's been the same, and it's also been the same mechanic for all the time. Like, you have to recast your dots when they are running out, and if you don't have any dots that are running out, you have to use a spammable or ultimate or whatsoever. So that didn't change in a long time, but yet the gap increased. So the only other reason for an increased gap is obviously the new sets we get with every patch. We get Turning Tide, we have Nazare, we have all the other awesome sets provided, and obviously you, as a developer, you want to give the people stronger sets for the next update to incentivize them buying it. So from a business standpoint, you of course want the new sets to be better, and it also gives a sense of progression for people because they will get stronger. So we are not even using the VMA stuff currently, which buffs light attacks. Like, if you think about it, currently we are using, with the hybrid changes, we are not using a lot of light attack buffing besides Necromancer using the Empowering Grasp. So nerfing the damage skills and light attacks feels like punishing the DDs because of the organization of the group, on preparation of the group. Like, people outside of the game spend still time thinking about the game and talking about the game to find the best setup to support their DPS. And yet we change the skills and the light attacks with that. So I have to quickly apologize for the group for not being there. And pour back into the thingy. So that is one thing. And also, of course, getting the uptimes right, getting the 66% uptime from turning tides and having Spald and all the shiny sets and playing those perfectly on the support buffs the DPF so much. And lower end groups who don't have good supports, maybe they have decent enough of people that train and practice on a dummy, yet they don't get as much of an DPS increase per patch because the support isn't up to par. So why is power creep actually a good thing? Content gets harder because of the power creep. So that, first of all, it seems like negative for the people. However, it gives us something we can look forward to. Like, people will be able to clear content, older content, that they weren't able to clear before because of the power creep. And it helps weaker players to get into the harder content that were there before. But obviously it's unsatisfying for weaker players if they can only clear like Sunspire now or Rockgrove now instead of DSR, right? It's unsatisfying, but that's kind of how it works. And it's kind of like an endless cycle. The people get stronger, the power cube rises, the new content gets harder, people can clear the lower content, but at the cost of not being able to clear new content, right? That's how it kind of works. And I don't really know how to change this, but it's like there's no way to change it. So the next thing is, why nerfing in the first place? And I want to look at it from the PvP aspect first, as PvP is player versus player, so there's a lot more about it. I played PvP quite a bit back in the day when when we had ball groups and so on, and ball groups were super toxic. Oh my god, I'm so bad. So ball groups were super toxic back in the day. Like, they were really, really strong. People got like completely wrecked. If you don't know what a ball group is, you can look at it and think about like a 12-man, 16-man group runs into the key of like 30 players or more and just nukes everyone down, like super unhealthy. Like, and then ball groups got nerfed. We lost Earthgore, we got everything, and ball groups were super organized too. Like they thought about the game for a lot of different things. They got like healers, DPS, like everything. Like they like really, really organized. Probably as organized as PvE groups these days, or more, as they have more players. So how did they then nerf the ball groups? And I totally agree with all of that, because it was super unhealthy. Then the 16 or the 12 to 16 people having a great time, like they farming the noobs, and it's awesome, holy shit. But at the expense of the fun for the majority of PvP players. They want to log in and take part in big fights and all that stuff. Right? Does that make sense? So nerfing in PvP makes a lot more sense than nerfing in PvE, because the fun is dependent on the performance on the opposing team, right? But in PvE, we only have computers that are getting wrecked. So how is the fun of one kind of skill-based group impeding the fun of other skill-based or less skill-based groups or pucks, you know, pickup groups. So nerfing content or damage for PvE purposes always feels kind of like the devs fighting against the player base, in my opinion. You can look at it from the speedrunning perspective. Like, let's say, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Skyrim speedruns, but imagine in Skyrim you can like clip through walls and get like crazy speed from mounting off a horse, I don't know, flying through the map, landing in water, whatsoever. You can do all that stuff in Skyrim, and if you now fix those clipping through the walls and all that stuff, it's kind of like the developers thinking that the fun the small speedrunning community has is wrong. You know what I mean? It's like the people are having fun playing the game how they want to play the game, and it's somehow wrong, and then they fix it and destroy the whole speedrunning community. Now that didn't happen with Skyrim, but that's kind of the point that I want to make. Because nerfing the damage is kind of the same thing. People are enjoying the game the way they want to enjoy the game, and are being punished for doing so. And then, yeah. And have to endure the developers what they think should be intended for content. Like, not everyone is doing a zero portal skip, but somehow zero portal skip is bad, but two portal play is okay. It just feels wrong, like from the clouders. Everyone has fun in the different games, and that's what I want to say. So people complaining is the other way, reason why people getting nerfed.
Looks dead now.
Like I said in the first place, complaining in PvE for PvE purposes doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Like, you can see it as just playing against a computer. Like, your fun and the group's fun is not dependent on how another group is performing, right? Yeah, and it's like just punishing people for organizing, punishing the DPS players because they like to organize their groups. Nerfing them will always feel bad, by the way. Nerfing damage will always feel bad as content becomes harder to clear, and if you have been able to clear the same content previously, but now are suddenly not able to do it anymore, it will always feel bad. Or what the hell? Jeez. So now I want to talk a bit about inclusivity. Dude, what the hell is this heavy attack? It's insane. Can't even block that. Alright, so inclusivity. I don't have any kind of disability. I'm like not at all. Like, I'm not one of the people they make changes for. That's what I want to say. Right. So obviously I can't speak from experience myself. Now, I did hear, however, that for people with arthritis is that makes it even harder for them to do spammables. Because they have to use the same muscle all the time, right? I heard that's going to be more difficult for them. Now, if you think about people with other kind of handicap, maybe missing a hand or having some kind of mental disability, maybe like Tourette syndrome, maybe, or whatsoever. Like all those kind of things are making it harder for them to really play the game effectively. The game will always be the same for those people. They will always have to press one skill per second, every second, until the boss is dead. It doesn't matter how hard the rotation is. They will always have to play it the same way, and also have to do light attack weaving. So it's changing the rotation will always make it harder for them, or they have to get used to the new rotation whatsoever. And the thing is, the new rotations are looking a lot more dynamic, which is a lot harder actually than previous ways. Like previously we were able to do static rotations. It was still effective, they were still working. And now with the new rotations they look a lot more dynamic, which is a lot harder to learn. And how many people are actually there with disabilities that want to do hardcore content and so on? First, that sounds probably a bit ableist, but I am not. It's just the way the combat works. Unless they change something fundamentally, it's always going to be difficult to master. It's always going to be difficult to get really good at. And we did have, however, a way to improve it for the people with Oaken Soul. Oaken Soul was the one mythic item that really allowed players that just can't control two bars properly, doesn't matter how or why, but players that just can't really control it properly, to still participate. Maybe they won't be doing world records, but at least they will be able to do decent damage with low effort. So why nerf the Oaken Soul Ring? It doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand. And the nerfs currently that will hit everyone. We have the high tier players, which ironically, the nerfs don't really matter too much for them. They probably won't be able to do like trifecta Dread Sail Reef anytime soon, or maybe also face the Rock Grove Fart mode. But that's okay, we will adapt. We can still clear all the other content. It's the people that are progressing it that will have a hard time. People that are currently just close to a trifecta, just close to the hard clear of whatever trial they're doing, that will get a lot harder for them, and they will get put back to square one, really, if you think about it. Like people that got used to how the damage is and then suddenly do like 10k less damage per person. That's the hardest bit. And also for anyone that, for all the people that don't know or don't have a progress group to join, but they still want to learn, and we have open runs for those people in a lot of different communities. We have Project Vitality from ESO University, probably the biggest open runs out there. the biggest ones out there. You can join those runs with DPS requirements, but it will be a lot harder for new players now, because it's just going to be harder to reach the DPS requirements. For example, for Sunspire that I want to raid lead at some point, it will be a lot harder to join the 50k DPS requirement, or to reach the DPS requirement for new players if they get nerfed. And now you could say, oh, make the requirements lower, but the reason we have high requirements for open runs is not because we are gatekeeping lower level players from joining. It's because we kinda need to, so everyone that joins the run can enjoy the time there and learn, focus on learning and not on focusing on getting better. Because, like I said, it's a limited amount of time we have, and you don't want to spend this time in explaining how to DPS stronger or not to, but you want to spend the time to learn the new mechanics. Now, if you think about it, it kind of makes sense, and also with lower damage. For example, for Sunspire hard mode, you need 85k DPS for the PCEU to attend, right? 85k parts on a trial dump to attend Sunspire hard mode training runs. But that seems a bit high, but I have been part of groups before that had lower DPS than that. And everything just gets so much harder and so much like, it's insane how difficult Yonic becomes if your damage is low. I've off-tanked runs where you get 3 servants, iron servants, and it's so difficult as off-tank to control all the servants. It becomes almost impossible to clear, and there's the longer the fight is, the easier it is to make mistakes, especially for the tanks and the healers. So open runs will be a lot harder for anyone to attend, of course. Like, if the average DPS is lower than normal runs, obviously it will be harder to attend. Which will not be helping with inclusivity at all. It literally is the opposite of that. Because open runs was the only way for new players that don't have time to join a progression group to actually learn the new content, or at least do something in the new content. Like, if they can't join a progression group, open runs was the only thing I can do. And now also, with progression groups getting nerfed, they will be less willing to bring in new players for their content, or weaker players. Like, when you had one DPS drops out and they need a new DPS in their content, in their group, then they will look, maybe every DPS player is currently doing like 100k DPS, and then they will look in a similar DPS range. But currently, because the DPS is high, people are probably more willing to get someone in that maybe hasn't a lot of experience or isn't such great DPS just yet, but they're willing to try them out because they can carry them through the content without having too much trouble to carry them through. Oh shit. Oh shit, no. Oh, this is so bad. So, the willingness to recruit lower end players, because everyone is also doing lower damage, will make it a lot harder for people that are worse to join a better group or join upwards, basically. So the recruitment is going to slow down, and they'll probably look more in similar DPS ranges instead of giving lower people a try. Yeah. So that's kind of what was on my mind. I hope it made sense. Maybe if you agreed, please tell me. If you disagree, tell me as well. Yeah, we'll see how the changes are going through and how it will affect. I don't have a lot of empirical data. I just these are just my worries and what I've been thinking about a bit. And maybe you agree or disagree. I don't know. In general, I'm not against changing or nerfing the damage overall, but I also think it's really worrying to say we will nerf the damage and then later on we will adjust the content, which kind of means, well, we will nerf the damage and you won't be able to clear it. However, we are not going to change it until later on, right? It's kind of seems a bit insane from the developer's side. I don't know. Like, if you adjust the damage, then like everyone that is progressing Dread Sail Refarmer right now, and everyone that cannot do it anymore because of the damage changes, basically being told, well, we are not going to touch the content, and you won't be able to play the content that you want to play currently because it's basically impossible. And then just wait until we nerf the content later. So wait like 3 months for the content to get just seems a bit dangerous. It seems a bit sad. Yeah, that's all I had to say. Tell me if you agree or disagree. Whatever. And also, if you want to join my training runs in PCU, feel free. I'd be happy if I could teach you a thing or two in Sunspot on Project Vitality, PC University. I might as well I wanted to do hard mode as well, so we will see how that works. Alright, take care guys, hope you have a good time.